On this edition of Native Report.
That's the only thing we use, you know, a Navajo language made into code, you know.
We meet Chester Nez, one of the original 29 members of the all-Navajo 382nd Marine Platoon.
There's so many issues that come through the door every day. And
we interview Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux Community Chairman Charlie Vig. And we conclude the documentary Inalik, Little Diomede, about life on an island in the Bering Strait. We also learn something new about Indian country and hear from our elders on this Native Report.
Production of Native Report is made possible by grants from the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux Community, the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, and the Blandin Foundation.
Proud of our young people when they graduate.
Hi, welcome to Native Report. I'm Stacy Thunder. Chester Nez is a member of the all-Navajo 382nd Marine Platoon, otherwise known as the original Code Talkers during World War II. What Chester did was so secret that he couldn't even tell his own father about it until decades after the war ended. A true American hero.
As evening falls over Northland College, a welcome song by the Lakota Ray Soldiers Drum fills Kendrigan Gymnasium. The honored guest is Chester Nez, the last surviving veteran of the original 29 World War II Navajo Code Talkers.
It's been a dream of mine to bring somebody of this level to our campus, to show people that we have these people that we need to honor while they're around, to honor their story, but also to expose our young people to people who are fighting for culture and fighting for community and fighting for education. When I saw that Chester had received his degree last November from KU, he's a Rock Chalk Jayhawk, we were real excited. It was all over our walls, and we were telling students that, hey, you know, at the age of 91, you can go back, you can get your degree, you can finish what you're doing, and it was huge. We're sending big messages to our Native youth right now that education is important, culture is important, and recognition and honor is very important anytime you do anything at any age.
It's been the perfect place to visit here, and I'm very glad to come here and see some of these people around here, and I'm so happy to be here. Some of these guys that were in the service, you know, that I knew, and some of them are guys that with different division and stuff like that, you know. But we did talk about where we've been and what we did and and stuff like that, you know.
Assisting Chester is his grandson Latham and Judith Avila, co-author of Chester's story, the first and only memoir by one of the original Code Talkers.
Many people think they just spoke in Navajo, and that's what fooled the Japanese, but really they developed a code, and the Japanese captured several Navajo men and tortured them and tried to get them to decipher the code, but it was complex enough that they had no idea what was being said, even though they recognized that the individual words were Navajo. So it was a very, very clever code. It was doubly encrypted, and these guys studied like crazy to make sure they could just take a message in English and spit it right out in Navajo like they were coding machines, computers. And they were really an impressive group of men. And Chester is now the last of the 29 original Code Talkers who developed the code, and that gave a special cachet to the story because he could talk about what they were thinking when they developed the code and how they got recruited and what they were thinking when they decided to fight for their country. I mean, it was just fascinating to me.
The evening presentation included several local, state, and tribal representatives honoring Chester with gifts. It also included the telling of his story, 60 years in the making.
On behalf of the Oneida Nation, we brought this gift basket. Some of this is our medicines, our fruits, our things all that sustain us. Our three sisters, corn, whole corn and all that. And this handmade basket here, this box. But there's a special gift in there for him. And it's what we call Oneida Love Portion, tea. So Chester, on behalf of the Oneida Nation and all the veterans of the Oneida Nation, the people, I'd like to present this gift to you.
Someone comes to get you, a Marine officer. He takes you all to a classroom and locks the door. He goes to the front of the room and he says, "Men, here's your assignment." He said, "We need you men to develop a code using your native language, Navajo. And it needs to be a code that not even another Navajo could break."
It took us almost about a year to develop this code, and when we went overseas, that's the only thing we use, you know, a Navajo language made into code, you know. And it's one of the roughest things for these Japanese tried to decipher the code, you know, but they never did. And it's one thing I always remember, you know, it's one of the most beautiful things that ever happened during World War II. I'm very proud and very happy about that. When we came home, you know, and people asked us all kinds of questions, you know, but I think they told us when we were discharged not to talk about what we did, you know, not to tell anybody, you know. It took almost a little over 20 years before they told us it was all right to talk about it, you know, and that's when I told my folks and my relatives, you know, what we did, and they were so happy to know that we use our native language to develop a code and use it during the war.
I love seeing the respect he gets, and I love seeing that at 92, his life is actually ramping up instead of ramping down.
I think it's an important message to get our communities together for a positive event, to recognize not only Native communities but also military communities, and most Native communities, those two mesh together very well. Culture and our warriors are two of our very important connections that we need to make with Native and non-Native communities.
Did you know there were American Indian code talkers in World War I? In September of 1918, Cherokee troops in the American 30th Infantry transmitted messages under fire in their own language during the Second Battle of the Somme. Choctaw soldiers also sent military messages in their language in the First World War and are said to be the first code talkers. The name code talkers is usually associated with Navajo speakers who were recruited by the Marines in World War II to serve in the Pacific Theater. But other Native Americans were deployed by the U.S. Army in World War II, including Cherokee, Choctaw, Lakota, Meskwaki, and Comanche soldiers. Messages were transmitted in Native American languages over military telephones or radio communications. Tribal code talkers used formal or informal codes. In the Marine Corps in World War II, there were over 400 Native Americans whose primary job was the transmission of secret tactical messages. The code talkers received no recognition until the declassification of the operation in 1968. In 1982, President Reagan provided the Navajo code talkers a certificate of recognition, and in 2008, Congress passed the Code Talkers Recognition Act to honor all tribal code talkers.
Charlie Vig, the new chairman for the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community, understands change can often be challenging. But with each passing day, he is more confident he can carry the torch passed on to him by former chairman, the late Stanley R. Crooks. Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux Community Chairman Charlie Vig shares his thoughts about his life before serving as chairman, in arguably one of Indian country's highest profile positions. What was it like growing up on the reservation?
Well, I moved out to this community in 1969. I had lived in Eden Prairie before that, across the river. There wasn't a lot of jobs. We were 10 miles from town. School was a long distance, so we didn't do a lot of the fun activities. Chairman Norman Crooks at the time had been trying to create jobs in our community. So I had the opportunity to do some of those, and I've worked here for the last 21 years now.
After high school, Chairman Vig, the youngest of 8 children, began a career in masonry. In 1992, Mystic Lake Casino opened its doors, and he accepted the position of project manager.
I quickly advanced up to manager, director, and then eventually vice president of facilities. So I went from about 3 employees to 800 employees in about 3 years. And then I was, it was, you know, it's a 24-hour operation, but I think I wanted to be challenged more. I wanted to be part of the future movement of the community. And I was elected as vice chairman, and in January of 2012, I think. So I had the fortunate time to spend 8 months with the Chairman Crooks before he passed away, and then at that time I moved up to chairman, and it's been about 7 months now as chairman.
He credits former Chairman Crooks as the one who taught him the subtleties of political life.
It's a big learning curve. There's a lot that he had taken under his being chairman, you know, and I think what it did is it made me realize a little bit more the important role that our leaders have in our communities.
What do you find most challenging about being chairman?
It's juggling, you know, your time with your family and your community, and all of the different roles you have to play with government and our neighbors. You know, there's just so many. There's so many issues that come through the door every day, and I think scheduling is probably the biggest. Since I've been elected, you know, I look around and you see the neighboring communities growing together. So I think I felt an urgency to meet with them and to figure out ways that we can merge our communities together. We've done a great job here at doing philanthropy and helping other tribes get started with an economic engine. So every time I meet with a tribe, it brings me back to where we started, and like I said before, there was very little jobs. There wasn't a lot of hope. I think all we had was hope.
He continues to work toward the dream that Chairman Crooks had for the Shakopee Dakota, and part of that was the reacquisition of the sacred site, Peshla.
Chairman Stanley Crooks, he had a dream to somehow find something in the Black Hills that could unite the tribes. Unfortunately, the chairman passed away last summer, and there was a large movement with many tribes, many organizations gathered together to eventually purchase it. So it's about 2,000 acres in the heart of the Black Hills.
So what are your hopes for the future?
I think we've been blessed with a lot of things here through the past leadership. I believe they've all done a really good job in their roles as being leaders and providers for this community. I think the biggest thing is to create more of a sense of a community, you know, with our culture and our language, and being the Native people that we are. I think that's probably my biggest hope, is just to help build that community, help learn how to solve problems together, and just make it better for our future kids.
Sovereignty, yeah, means different things to different people who respond differently. But there's only one sovereignty, and it's the ability of a nation to determine its own destiny. Like to say self-determination, be able to speak their language, create their laws, specifically for their people, and have a land base that you can control outside of the state or the federal government to the extent that we can. True sovereignty would be equal to the United States government. But as conquered people, we do have limited sovereignty. You know. A lot of people don't understand how we could even have limited sovereignty. They think it's special rights. We don't have special rights. We have retained sovereignty in our treaties. And that's how we can continue to be sovereigns.
We conclude Season 8 of Native Report with the final installment of Inalik, Little Diomede by award-winning producer Jeannie Green. We thank Jeannie for allowing Native Report the right to broadcast her documentary about a village and its people on an island in the Bering Strait.
For the past 2 days, there have been few seals coming close to the island. Today, Andrew has decided to try hunting a little closer to town. A cormorant drifts by, closely watching the hunter, but Andrew pays little attention to the long-necked bird. However, a duck has caught his attention. Andrew slips around to the other side of the rocks to get a better shot. If there's one lesson the hunters of Diomede have learned, it's that patience pays off. Andrew will now have to retrieve his bird before the current takes it away. As the bird drifts around the point, Andrew tosses his throwing line out. The object is to snag part of the bird with the hooks of the throwing line. Andrew will have to be quick because the weather is starting to change. Although Andrew is unable to successfully snag the bird, he does manage to get it closer to the shore and eventually retrieves the bird. These young men are stretching walrus skins over an umiak, measuring for length. These skins will be measured and sewn together into one skin. With a needle and sinew, the women will join together 5 walrus hides to form the waterproof skin of the umiak. It's an art that they've learned from their ancestors. Keeping with tradition, Vera Ozena is working side by side with her daughter, Andrea Suluk. It's a time-consuming work that requires a strong back and precision sewing. It'll take these ladies a few hours to complete this project, but the umiak that they are making the skin for should last several seasons. In the meantime, the umiak must be cleaned and prepped before the new skins can be put on. It's a long process that can take all day to complete. When the skins are finished, they will be draped over the umiak frame. Several loops have been made in the skin that will be used to lash the skin to the frame of the umiak. Travis Koyertuk is helping tie down the skins to the umiak. Around here, the youth are actively involved in subsistence activities, something the adults of this community are proud to see. The umiak is like no other boat. Umiaks can hold an incredible amount of weight, and unlike aluminum boats, umiaks are extremely flexible and durable. As we traveled around the island in one of Aj's umiaks, it was easy to see why they called the island the Rock. As we rounded the south side of the island, a fox darted up the side of the hill, disappearing into the rocks. By the time we traveled around the island, the sun was setting and the lights of Diomede reflected off the water, as though to say, "Welcome home." It's another day, and Andra Kunyak is heading out the North Trail again in search of seal. There's often a great deal of time spent waiting for prey. Today, Andrew spends his downtime sharpening the hooks on his throw line. Andrew could be here for hours waiting for a passing seal, or he might not see anything at all today. It requires patience and an understanding of the animals and their habits that will eventually pay off for Andrew.
My students came to me at the beginning of the year well prepared for first grade. They could write real letters. They could sound out words.
Back at school, the kids are attending a pep assembly to recognize the outstanding achievements of some of the younger children.
So, Marianne, you want to come get your certificate? Okay. Rebecca Ozena. Felicia. And Sophie. Thank you very much.
This pep assembly is also a way for the youth to have a little fun at the end of the week. Principal Dwayne Bonson has lined up a couple events that require some of his old clothes. The object here: put on a suit and tie, run down to the other end of the gym, take off the suit and tie, and let your teammate do the same thing.
You have to eat the cracker up, then you have to whistle before you can come back.
Sounds easy, doesn't it?
The whole thing, the whole half. Stick it all in.
Wait, man, your teeth.
Around the world, the fast-paced tempo of city life continues. Everyone has somewhere to be, and they're probably already running late. But here in Diomede, it's back to the basics.
For more information about Native Report or the stories we've covered, look for us at nativereport.org and Facebook. That's the end of Season 8. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate the time you spend with us here on Native Report. I'm Stacy Thunder. We'll see you next time.
Stacy Thunder is a member of and legal counsel for the Red Lake Nation, and Tad Johnson is a member of the Boys Fort Band of Chippewa and is chair for the American Indian Studies Department on the campus of the University of Minnesota Duluth. Production of Native Report is made possible by grants from the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community, the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, and the Blandin Foundation.